And welcome. Today we are looking at the EC from a political lens, and therefore we're going to go and speak to some thespians in the political science and governance field to look at the strategy, the 5-year strategy, its implications, its trials, and indeed the benefits to you and I. And the EC is saying they're trying to set a benchmark for the whole of Africa, become independent, trusted, and indeed become a world-class entity and have an identity on its own, nothing shrouded under governance, but something that represents, states and on their own, looking after yours and my interest. People have come in saying, listen, this is not the right time. The most important thing today is what's going to happen with the elections coming up. Those in the EC are saying, listen, we've been working without a plan, and indeed we need a plan. If donors are going to come in, we need to have something to show. And what time is better than now rather than later? That's what we're going to do today. My name is Nana Sakwa. This is PM Express. And when I come back, I'm talking to some thespians in the political industry. Academia, basically. Don't move. Well, thank you very much for staying, and we're looking at the EC from a political lens. The vision, the EC will be a benchmark in Africa for enabling independent, trusted, world-class democratic elections for citizens and candidates alike. The strategy plan requires a vision that reflects the revitalized and renewed energy of the EC, and in addition, it needs to capture the intention of the plan. The following are the key elements of the vision. An African benchmark. In order to be a benchmark for the African continent, our organization, and the service we deliver, we must be efficient and effective. We must set a high standard of professionalism and integrity at all times. This requires that our technology, our process, and our people lead the way in African elections. Independent. This reflects not only constitutional independence, but captures the importance of functional and legal independence. It sets the standards for how we will engage with all parties to mediate and deliver elections. We will not tolerate undue influence and will ensure that Ghana's elections remain free, fair, and independent. Trusted. We will ensure that we operate transparently at all times with the highest expectation, and that all staff members of the EC operate with integrity and transparency. Trust is built through effective communication, and we will undertake to communicate to all our stakeholders relevant information at all times. World class. We are building an organization that holds itself accountable to a global standard. We are determined to employ technologies, processes, and people that reflect a global ideal, and ensure electoral justice and integrity. That is the new vision of the EC. We're going to take this insert, and then when we come back, we'll engage our guest.
Recommendations made by the panel, almost to the letter. If you go to page 66 of the panel's report, which we had put on our website, it starts by saying there's a heading, the recommendations. and they make about, I think, 16 or 17 recommendations. And we're implementing all of them. Even the person who asked the question said, the panel said, we should use the exhibition process as a means of auditing the register. We haven't reached the exhibition process. I explained earlier that there are 3 main activities in the election calendar. The limited registration, where you update the register, then the exhibition process. If we are going to add more names to the register, why audit now? So we finish with the additions, then we do the exhibition, because again, in this election year, we're expanding to 29,000 polling stations. So it's only when people have finished registering that we know this polling station is too big, it needs to be split and all that. Then we use the exhibition process to now make sure everybody goes out, encourage them, go out, check your polling station, check that your details are correct. So you need to go, and then we've even agreed as part of the electoral reforms, we agreed that during the exhibition process, we're going to make the BVDs available so that when you show up for the exhibition and you check your details, you put your finger on the machine and you also know that there is no problem. If you have low quality fingerprints, then we may have to move you to face-only identification and not through the BVDs.
BVDs,
biometric verification devices.
Okay.
So all those plans had already been agreed as part of the electoral reform process, that the BVDs will be made available at the exhibition. And the exhibition is the process for checking your details, verifying your details, and ensuring that you can vote on election day. As to people coming out of IPAC and saying things other than what we agreed at IPAC, well, mischief is a big part of politics. You can't take that away. And I'm not sure that that fact alone means that political parties do not have a good and strong relationship with the EC. People also have to learn to be more discerning and to be more challenging of what they hear and to question it more and arrive and make their own truths. We can't impose meanings and interpretations on people. People they have free will and they can choose what they want to believe. We have a duty to communicate with the public and tell them what we have agreed, and we will do that. We also have a duty to continue to engage political parties. Steering committee, you see, those are institutions that we already work with. And so if the NCC needs information, we have to give it to them. If the police need information, we have to give it to them. So that information sharing is still going on. We've explained it at IPAC, we've clarified it. There's understanding now as to the role of the steering committee. Some people are not too happy with the name, but then again, some people are not too happy with the name of IPAC. So it's a work in progress.
Well, at this point, I'll ask you to join, and it's 0560-800-000, 0560-800-000. And before, let's look at the new mission, or our mission. Our job at the EC is to deliver on the electoral mandate, enable and facilitate free and fair elections in Ghana, and regulate the activities of all political parties. Now, the mandate of the Electoral Commission of Ghana is reflected in the 1992 Constitution and Electoral Commission Act, 1993, Act 451. The Act details the scope of the EC's mandate, and our mission is set to reflect the essence of the mandate. As per the Act, the mandate of the EC includes the compilation of the register of compilation of the register of voters and its revision at such periods as may be determined by law. Demarcation of the electoral boundaries for both national and local government elections, conduct and supervision of all public elections and referenda, voter education, registration and regulation of political parties, and making regulations by constitutional instruments for the effective performance of our functions. While the Act outlines our mandate in detail, we cannot forget that we are the bastions of Ghana's democracy, and our mission is to ensure that the democratic principles of the right to free and fair elections are upheld. So this is what the new spirit behind the new EC, if quote and unquote, the new EC. But let me go to the phone and speak to Dr. Bosman Asare, political science lecturer, University of Ghana. Dr. Asare, you're welcome.
Thank you and good evening.
Good evening, sir. There's a big debate going on, but we're going to look at the strategies that the EC is putting in place, basically sort of breathing a new air into the establishment. Would you say the timing is right, or they should have waited till after elections?
So ideally, when you look at it critically, you take Ghana's democracy into consideration. We have become an election society. So anytime there's an upcoming election, it's like everyone is talking about what structures can we put in place so that the various stakeholders will really have confidence in the system. And when you look at it from that particular angle, and I think many will say the EC should have waited, because all Ghanaians are thinking about the 2015 elections. Now we are still having problems with having a credible register, which will be accepted by all the actors and the players involved. So when the EC is talking about something, etc., it's really a source of concern. But assuming things were working better in our country, then that shouldn't be a problem. But people really want to know that the structures are in place for the 2015 specifically, and once that one is done, talking about 2020 or the years after shouldn't be a problem at all.
The strategies that they put in place, what are your thoughts about it? Hello, Dr. Asare. Have I lost Dr. Asare? Hello, Dr. Asare. Hello? Hello? I'm told you're still on the line, but I don't know if you can hear me. Dr. Asare.
Hello.
Oh, good. I lost you there. But looking at what the EC is proposing, the new strategy, looking at 5 years, assuming the timing was right, what do you think about the strategy?
So I think overall, once you are doing something to enhance the credibility, to put structures in place, 5-year development plan for our election, I think it's something which is really a good thing. But I was making the point that it's so uncomfortable with the way the EC is going about its activities. Most Ghanaians are thinking that, so why not we put structures in place so that we ensure that in 2015 everything is, whatever must be done is done properly so that we can have a system that is very, very credible. And if we can get that right, we can be thinking beyond 2015. But I think the process is very, very commendable. But many people are still not satisfied with what the EC is doing going into the 2015 election. Test registration is starting tomorrow, but the kind of education that should have really gone into it has not really been very effective. So when you take things from that particular perspective, although the 5-year plan is really a good thing, we really want something to be done now. All of us can have confidence going into the 2015 election.
I'm not in the EC, but assuming I was in the EC, my argument would be, if you look at under our values, accountability, excellence, inclusiveness, integrity, so going into 2016 elections, if I am putting this spirit behind the election, why would you say I should do the elections before I come back and instill these values?
So I think that one of the key things is that we've been witnessing electoral-related conflict problems in the countries around. We know about Ivory Coast, we know about Kenya, and other similarly situated countries. So anytime a country like Ghana and even Nigeria, these countries are going into elections, you realize that, no, these things are problems. But we know the EC has a track record of accomplishment. But one thing which is also very central is that leadership of the Electoral Commission has changed. And there are many who are harboring the view that maybe the one in charge is not really up to the task of ensuring that the system is very fair, credible, and something which can be trusted. So when you look at things from that particular milieu, then there is a tendency for people to say, why are you talking about 2020, 2018, etc., when we have something that in this November and we've not been able to put the necessary mechanisms and tactics in place. So I think that what the EC is doing is not something which is out of place. But Ghanaians really want to be assured that going into the 2016, the register, whatever must be done so that security, everything is done properly so that we can have a system that is very fair, that is very trusted, and something which is believable.
The EC admits that their public relation arm was very, very weak. Indeed, I think they've reshuffled, or they are getting a whole prosthetic arm for that division. Because they used to leave the public to speculate for too long before they come out to give a reason why they have taken certain decisions. So it's not as if that the EC had gone to sleep, but their public relation arm wasn't good. Have I still got Dr. Sari? I'm hearing a beep. I think I dropped the line. But let me take a couple of messages while I try to get him back. Oh, okay, I still have Dr. Sari. Hello, Dr. Sari.
Hello.
Oh, sorry, I thought I lost you there. I was saying that this perception that the EC is not, they sort of don't mind or don't give us enough information because the PRO section was very weak and they are revamping it. And so maybe they are not as bad as we think they are.
So I think state institutions are always given excuses for their inactions, their inefficiencies, and their ineffectiveness. And as a country, we can't continue to be living in that particular, with those explanations, etc. So I think if they recognize that the public relations outfit has not been very effective, maybe they must put the structures in place to ensure that Ghanaians really have the confidence in the institution. But I think that hopefully they must come out, accept the blame, and because we can't allow an election which is done once every 4 years to really create some problems for us, because this is a country grappling with underdevelopment. We are thinking about what we can do so that many Ghanaians will have access to quality education, quality healthcare. So if just one institution like the EC, you can really put your structures in place to ensure that Ghanaians are really getting value for the money we are spending. When you look at the money we are spending on elections, it's really a lot of money. Mm-hmm. So I expect that as they have admitted, they will try whatever is necessary and proper so that they can put the right mechanisms in place for the good people of this country.
Dr. Bosman, I mean, I don't know how political science would measure this, if there's any, thermometer for that. But are we as a society too obsessed about voting, or the EC is a bit too weak? That's why we get so much tension coming up to 4 years. And I'll say that, we've gone through all elections without actually tearing the country apart. So is it that we just get too anxious, or is that the EC is too weak to calm us down?
So I think that because there are limited economic opportunities in our country, mm-hmm. It's like many people have come to view elections as the solutions to their everyday problems, everyday challenges. Because we've come to realize that if you can support a party as a leading member or even as a foot soldier, and that party can win elections, it can open some economic opportunities for you. And when you live in a society like that, the election becomes so important as opposed to countries like Germany, etc., that are doing very, very well. So because of that, we really need a commission that will be very strong, that will be very assertive, and that is always learning from the previous elections. And when you look at what is happening, it appears as if the EC is not learning from the past. But we expect the EC, what the Nigerians did. For many years, people were saying Ghanaians doing better than the Nigerians. But we've seen that the last Nigerian election, that the Nigerians have set the standard that this is a more sophisticated, with about 180 million people in that particular country. So if they can get it right, what is preventing the country, Ghana, 25, 27 million, to put the structures in place and to be able to do certain things? So I think that the EC has increasingly demonstrated that 5 times, and that one is a major problem for us. So my thinking is that election by 4 or 5 months to election, certain things must be done so that Ghanaians will really have the confidence that we have a commission that can really be a good referee, that can ensure that the right things are really put in place so that whoever wins the election can win it, and Ghanaians will really understand that this particular person or party has won it.
Dr. Watson, I'm going to take a quick break, and then when I come back, I just want to find out from you if the EC is sort of having a posture as becoming too much a law unto themselves, or are we demanding too much from him? I'm coming straight back.
Thank you. Thank you.
Okay, let me catch up with some of your messages. 0560 800 000. This is from Smith Sapon in Sunyani. Says the 5 years development plan and the logo are needless at the moment. They are very important issues for them to deal with at the moment, and they should focus on that. Let me take another one. This one says, Madam Charlotte comes across as stubborn and an arrogant person. She's behaving as if she owns the commission and gives cheeky answers to serious questions. Let me see. Okay, let me, this is from Ni Aiti. Ni, okay, let me skip a bit of your message. Let me go here. This one says, please, what does the easy chair say the white color in the logo mean? Also, she tried to say that the mandate of the EC is not elections. What will electoral mean in the name Electoral Commission? What has its international image got to do with its strategy? It's only managing elections internally that will give one an international image. I just do not agree with most of the things Mrs. Osei said, unfortunately. This is Guma from Sunyani. Let me catch another one. And this one says, I am very confident the EC will do what is best for the nation. And this is from Emmanuel. Now let me go to the phone and speak to Dr. Bosmanasari, political science lecturer. Okay, I think I have one more insert before I go to the phones.
People have expressed concern about the management of the database and that they want the EC staff to manage it. It is something that the Commission has to look at. It is a strategic management decision. Every organization decides what to do by themselves internally and what to outsource, and what they do in collaboration with other entities, service providers. And so we as a commission, we have to sit and look at it from a strategic perspective. What are the pros and cons of all the options? If we decide that we want our staff to take over all that, then we would have to make sure that our staff are ready in terms of skills and capacities to take over those functions. We can't just carry those functions and hand over to our staff as a matter of national pride or because people have requested it. That may not be good, and it may lead to chaos. So we have a duty to make sure that we are ready if we want to take over that function. But again, it's not a decision I can take by myself. It's a decision we have to sit as a commission and with management and take. As we implement our strategic plan, we did say that looking at improving the skills and capacities of our staff are some of the things we're going to look at. But it has to be a process. It's not going to be overnight.
Right. Now, between Kwame John and Umar Sando, I think we had one of these loaded WAEC questions, you know, compulsory question.
The logo.
Yes. They're talking about issues of the cost of the branding, the Ghanaian role in the logo, and, issues of plagiarism. So it's a loaded question. Please tackle it any way you see fit. Yes.
We did not open up invitations for people to send logos in because, as we explained, the logo has to represent where we're going to as a brand and as an institution. So it's not just about putting colors together. It had to represent something. We were also benchmarking internationally. We did look at logos of other electoral commissions. And it's important that we work very closely with other electoral commissions. They visit us, we look at their strategic plans, we exchange information, we study visits are always going on. So there is a process. a logo is not just an artistic competition. It has to stand for something. We went through a process, and no, my husband did not design it. He's not a graphic artist. We went through a process, and I'm not even the only one married to a graphic artist, by the way. We went through a process in terms of developing the brand and what we wanted the brand to stand for. We engaged internally. We made inquiries. We had people bring. We selected as a commission. And that's why I said we selected it and we like it. If the Turkish, institute?
Educational institute.
We plagiarized their logo?
That is the claim.
Then they certainly have rights under the law. We don't feel we've plagiarized their logos. And if you look internationally, there are many logos that look like.
But have you seen that logo, by the way?
I have. I don't think it looks like mine. I like mine better. So we like it. We are comfortable as a commission that it represents the values and the brand we want and the image we want to portray, and it supports our strategic direction.
How much is the branding cost? This is Umaru's question.
Honestly, I don't know. I would have to check with my director of finance and get back. But when you say branding, first there's the logo, and it's ongoing. It's not even finished. We haven't gone doing signage. We haven't done our vehicles. We usually don't even do our vehicles. I'm not sure we intend to.
But do you know how much we spent so far?
I couldn't tell you.
But those figures are there?
Sorry?
Are those figures there? Can we find out?
Of course they're there. I mean, there's a process. And people have to understand that we work within a budget. The EC is independent, but is also subject to laws. So we go through audits. We're audited by the Auditor General, and they go and they look and they make sure we've gone through right process, due process. We've spent within budget. We don't just have unlimited funds. And a lot of the reform process going on is also supported by donors, because donors have been working with us and trying to help us ensure that we finish the internal reforms, because we keep putting electoral reforms on top of the same structure. The structure must support the reforms and the things, how you're carrying your mandates. And so there's a lot of donor support for the internal reforms that are going on.
That was the EC there. EC chair, if I may say, there, Madam Charlotte Osei, Mrs. Charlotte Osei. But I'm going to the phone now and I'm speaking to David Agbe, who's a governance expert. David, you're welcome.
Yes, Bernard, thank you so much.
Thank you too for joining us. But David, let me give you an unfair question before we even start talking. Is it that we are demanding too much from the EC, or is it that the EC has a posture as if they are a world unto themselves?
And I must say that we are not demanding too much. I think that elections are very crucial to anybody who understands democracy and who actually cherish the principles of democracy. And so, while the Electoral Commission is at the pivot of making sure that elections are organized properly to ensure that we have a very simple atmosphere where political parties are satisfied based on the fact that when elections are declared, nobody will feel that one way or the other they have been cheated without, making some basic mistakes, or feel that he has been treated based on the fact that there hasn't been transparent elections, or the Electoral Commission hasn't been accountable of making sure that certain things are done properly to give a certain level of confidence to more like political parties. It is quite important that everybody who is a stakeholder, as far as when this election is concerned, is to be able to argue properly to shape the Electoral Commission such that certain fundamental mistakes wouldn't be done. And so once we are competing for a national interest or competing for a political power and administration, some of these things are expected it is actually left to Electoral Commission to be able to exhibit some kind of leadership to ensure that citizens and stakeholders actually have a sense of belonging and have a comfort saying that, yes, Electoral Commission is putting in systems, structures, and be able to exhibit some kind of leadership qualities that will ensure an agenda that whoever is going into the election 2016 have a clean conscience that no, Electoral Commission is there to play the game in a fair and equitable manner. So at this point in time, as some of us into politics and into political science, we are not surprised about whatever is going on. But at the end of the day, what we are looking forward for, that every system will be so much transparent so that going into the election, nobody will feel cheated one way or the other. Somebody or a political party or a flag bearer has to lose an election. But then, certain legitimate questions need to be, asked. Exactly asking Electoral Commission, what are the strategies, what are the strategies, what are the systems, leadership abilities are they putting on the table to make sure that the environment is conducive for any of the political parties. So at this point in time, I do not think that people are asking for more, but what some of us are not pleased with is the fact that people, insult and cast some kind of insinuations and all that, which does not engender well. But arguments are supposed to be made, and people need to be able to ensure that their arguments are cogent enough, convincing enough, such that it will be able to shape public policy therefore.
David, I'll take a couple of comments on WhatsApp. This one is from Victor. It says, I'm really amazed how some people behave. The EC is trying to rectify the mistakes that were made in the last general election, and yet people are making a fuss about it. We really have a long way to go. This is from Victor. And then there was another one. Hold on 1 second. I just lost it. Who made a similar comment about, the messages are coming thick and fast. And so, let me say, not this one. But I mean, there are a couple of messages who are saying that, listen, the EC needs to do this now before we go into the next election, because it's going to bring accountability, excellence, inclusiveness, and integrity. So they need to, bring this now before we go into the election, rather than go into the elections with the same attitude and mistakes that we did the last one with.
Nana, I must say that I'm a student of strategic management, and I do understand what is branding and branding strategy, and to be able to communicate to stakeholders and then external community that certain things need to be done, certain retooling and certain restructuring and re-engineering of an organization need to be done. And so, looking at it from that perspective, I do not see anything wrong with branding, strategy by the Electoral Commissioner. But then the question that people are asking is that exigency of time. At this point in time, are we setting the priorities right, such that much attention will not be focused on the branding strategy? I mean, that is a fair question that some people are asking. But I think that as a new leader, the Electoral Commissioner, she also wants to do certain things that will also benefit, her as somebody who is also want to change and bring some kind of dynamism into the Electoral Commission. And so she feels that this is the crucial time that she has to do it, so that she will be able to rally, behind the stakeholders and to be able to transform electoral, commission. And so at this point in time, we need to be able to dichotomize between, the strategic plan of the electoral commissioner or the commission and then the stakeholders. But I think that once she is doing it with the support of the political parties or the stakeholders, and the stakeholders are involved in planning strategies and coordination, I think that it is good, but then they should be able to focus on the clear objective of organizing 2016 elections that will be able to add to our democratic system of governance, where certain things will be transparent, there will be a clear accountability, and at the end of the day, Ghanaians will be the winner, and then we'll be able to raise our flag high and say that Ghanaians understand democracy. And we shouldn't forget, from 1992 up to date, this will be the 7th election. And so the stakes are high. All the political parties want to win. And so some of these accusations coming in left and right, we are not surprised. But we all need to be cautious. We all need to be able to table our arguments in a proper and codified manner so that it will really engender our democracy. And so at this point in time, I've heard a lot of people criticizing the Electoral Commissioner that this is not the time for her to bring in the branding strategy and other stuff. But I think that looking at it critically, I do not like the logo. The logo, I would have preferred that our coat of arms, which depicts Ghana to the international community, should have been maintained. However, the President cannot say that I have to put a stop to whatever Electoral Commission is doing. I would have been an old boy in the old school manner where our coat of arms and everything will be there. That gives a certain level of symbol that this is Ghana. However, once it is a state agency and proper consultations have actually been done, let's allow her to actually internalize and practicalize what she wants to do, provided she is not infringing on the Constitution. But while the Constitution defines what the Electoral Commissioner needs to do and her job responsibilities and all that, saying that the agency is an independent. It can never be totally independent. But as our state architecture and our Constitution says, it is an independent, so we can take it as that. And so let's allow her to be able to, communicate creatively to Ghanaians that whatever that I'm doing, I am not in there to favor one political party, but I'm doing it to reshape the commission and restructure the commission,
David,
so that it will be more attractive for the stakeholders.
Let me take this message and then I'll follow it up with a question. This one says, I wonder where those claiming the EC has been doing nothing have been. The EC has a timetable it is following. Issues about new voter register has been settled. Now set to do limited registration and exhibit the register, including ways of cleaning the register and all that. Mrs. Charlotte say is very competent. Those who want to wobble around can continue. The noise making is so irritating. This is from Berima Kubaji in Jene. But could this have been a good intention that have backfired? Create an institution which feels neutral, so we can all sort of align or find a way to plug into it, and then it's all backfired. I mean, could that have been an issue? Because the EC at every given time, opposition thinks, look, you're in bed with the state, and at every given time, those in opposition feel that the EC is not talking their language. And so maybe they wanted to create an institution where, whether you were in government or not, you felt a part of it. Could this have been what has backfired?
Now, let me say that politics is grounded in theory and in practice. And so if you study politics and political science very well, and people actually competing for a political power, some of these things are always come into the table because they are looking for power. And anybody who is looking for power is showing and displaying some kind of aggressiveness. And so some of us are not surprised at all. But what we want is that the system, the structure, supposed to be there. We don't have to compromise anything at all. At this point in time, what we need from the Electoral Commissioner is that 2016 election is crucial to Ghana, and it is so much crucial to the international community. We shouldn't forget where Ghana is actually coming from. Ghana has become an icon in Africa. And even in the international community, they like the way Ghana, we are moving in terms of understanding, democracy. Not quite long ago, when the British, one of their officers came to Ghana, they said that Ghana has matured, and so they are not going to show much of interest sponsoring our elections after 2016 because they realize that we actually landed, we are internalizing the democratic principle. And so in the international system, they know what we are doing. And so what we need to do and what we need to advise the Electoral Commissioner that she should be able to put in the structure, the system, and the strategy so that the elections will be well organized. And then at the end of the day, the winner will feel happy that he has actually won the election, fairly. And the loser will also say that, yes, I contested the election, but then I didn't put in my input very well. And so that was why I actually lost the election. So we are looking for a fair and transparent, election. And so we cannot compromise on that. And so what people are saying, we should appreciate that every Ghanaian now is contributing to our democratic principles.
David, let me David, sorry, let me come in here. You know this. There's always IPAC and EC who go and meet, and anytime they come back out of their meeting, the majority says something else, and then the minority says something else. But in the House, apparently, there's always a consensus. However, when they come out, there's three information: what the EC does, what the NDC does, what the MPP does. So this idea of having good losers who come out and say, listen, I fought the fight, but I lost. Would that come from the EC or would that come from the political parties? Because they seem to come out and not tell us exactly what went on in the IPAC meetings.
Now, let me re-emphasize this point, that while people are competing for political power, some of these things are expected, especially in democratic systems. Let's take it from a history perspective, that those days when we were having more like the world system, was having authoritarian regimes, where information comes directly from the president to the citizens. Now that we are into democracy, information also flows from the citizens to the president. And so we all understand the fact that we all need to contribute our quota in building our society and trying to internalize democracy. And so when people go in for an IPAC meeting, you know that they have divergent views. And all the political parties, each and every one has its own interest. And politics is for an interest. People are in there for their interest. So NDC is in there for their interest of maintaining political power. MPP is in there to, take over from NDC. And so while these two giant political parties are competing, you can imagine that when CPP, PNC people are making contributions, people see them as, can DPP or PNC or PPP win a political power? So you realize that most at times it is the NEC and the MPP that makes the most noise.
Yeah.
And so the whole society is more like rallying towards these two main political parties. But I think that at the IPAC meeting, issues are put on the table for them to be able to digest it, for them to be able to debate it, and at the end of the day, they come out resolute to say that this is the way forward, this is what we all want to do, to be able to ensure that the system is fair and transparent. So one would have expected that at the IPAC meeting, when consultations are well done and well written, when they come out, they should be able to come out with a common voice. But it doesn't happen in that way because of the fact that all the political parties have an interest. So they want to be able to communicate their interest to their followers or to their stakeholders. So we shouldn't be surprised once again. It has to happen because of the fact that they are looking for a political authority. They are looking for, a political office. And so the competition is there clearly. And so let's say that political systems everywhere in the world is not all that free as we expected it. It is complex, and people need to compete and be able to challenge and be able to exhibit some level of argument for them to be able to convince their electorate. And as we speak now, the political psychology of a Ghanaian, every Ghanaian watches and listens, is forming an opinion that at this point in time, which political party am I going to actually cast my vote for? People are now forming their opinion. The political psychology of Ghanaians is updating itself every day. And people are forming their opinion whether Party A, NDC is putting systems very well, MPP is putting their systems very well, or other political parties are also equally doing things. So we should expect a good competition, this very year, as far as we are in the season.
David, one thing which I personally, thought the EC fell short was dissemination of information. I thought they hanged on well to anytime there was a speculation, rumor, it takes them time before they come and explain to the public why certain decisions have been taken. And I must admit that most of the time, it maybe have been of good intention, but by the time they come to explain it, we would have formed our own speculation and our stories and everything. This has brought a barrier between EC and the people. How will they be able to bridge so that we have confidence in them? At the moment, if I take something like the electoral vote register, if they come up with the new one, it's good for the MPP. If they come up with the if we use the old one, it's good for the NDC. So it's like you can't please them both. So what would they do for all of us to sit back and say, yes, this institution is neutral and we are all buying into it?
Now, that sense of neutrality will obviously be difficult at a certain point in time. But let me say that communication is a skill, and everybody who is in a certain office, one way or the other, needs to be able to learn, appreciate how effective communication is all about. I think that now we've heard that Madame Ano and then our old friend Owusu Paris and co, they've been pushed into different departments. And so we want to see those people that they are going to employ now to be in the helm of affairs of communicating to the stakeholders. We want some spirit of, good communication. People who understand effective levels of communication and be able to understand the responsibility of the Electoral Commission. How they can be able to craft a message that message will not be distorted. And most importantly, I think that the Electoral Commissioner now decision-making process, so that whoever is actually communicating will not distort the information of the commissioner or the Electoral Commission itself.
David,
Then information needs to be shared, and people need to understand the processes, and then knowing how important such a state organization is all about,
David,
so that they will be able to engage our electorate, so that the electorate will have confidence and trust in the Electoral Commission.
David, thank
So
you.
they need strategic mind and matured, mind of communicating creatively.
David, thank you very
ensuring
much.
that people are satisfied.
Thank you very much for that insight. Thank you so much. Take a quick break here, and when I come back, I will catch up with your messages. But let me just take this one, and I think this is directly for Mrs. Nana. Nothing has backfired as far as the Electoral Commission is concerned. The Electoral Commission is on course. They are not following. Are they not following their timetable? What again do we want? This is Andy in Accra. We're coming back. Thank you very much for staying. Very interesting, very interesting. Let me catch up with some of your messages that have come in. This one says, all the conduct of the EC boss has always been suspicious, hence all these noise. The commission must show fairness and stop creating unnecessary trouble for themselves. Ghana deserves better. This is from Chefman in Atonsu. Let me come up here and catch some more messages. And this one says the EC must build the EC must build the trust of all Ghanaians, else the acceptance of the election results will be very difficult, and the masses will move into the street to register their displeasure. That's where the real problem will start if we don't take care. This is Ato Duncan. This one says, Nana, please, are we safe in Ghana? As NDC is always supporting the EC and NPP always disagreeing with the EC. So Nana, what do you think will happen when it comes to declaration of results? Nana, you did not add your name there. This one says, I think even the presidential candidates are made, I think even if the presidential candidates are made the chairperson of the EC, they will still have problems with the EC. And try to catch up with all your messages that are coming. This is from Sam Bewa. It says, Nana, is this the time the EC, who have to run about 7 elections in Ghana, where we had both parties assuming power? I don't get it properly. If you can resend it again. This one is from Akroma in Techiman. It says the Electoral Commission is now autonomous or independent as proposed by the chairperson of the Electoral Commission of Ghana. The EC cannot be run without the financial support or influence of government. I tell you, the structures and procedures and processes are of ill health. Well, thank you very much for that. Let me remind all you Akwamu and Asimankesi people that Nana Amodako, DA Chief and son, Apejahini of Akwamufie, starts from Thursday all through to Monday. Be there to support Nana Frakoma and Adenoho the Third. But tomorrow we'll be back to do this all over again.
PM Express was brought to you